and the audio is rewarding.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Gettin Cheezy with Van and Jeezy. I'm Van.
And I'm Jeezy.
First things first, happy Labor Day weekend to everyone. We're actually recording this on Monday morning due to some scheduling conflicts, so...
That's right. That means we are sacrificing our actual Labor Day to serve up a heaping helping of steamy, fresh cheese.
We're laboring on our Labor Monday for you.
Hashtag cheese, please.
That's exactly right. So, we're going to start with the new This Week section. A pretty blockbuster trade, I'm told. Jadeveon Clowney goes to the Seahawks from the Texans.
That is a big trade. Now, I don't want to jump too far ahead here, but I'm going to jump ahead. This is a Pro Bowl caliber rusher, and his trade from the Texans to the Seahawks was declined by Madden. And I watched the video of somebody put it in. It's not like Madden needs even a second to think about it or say that they're going to do some more thinking here. It's just straight up, not tell me that I'm not going to ever accept this trade. No, no, no.
It's the same thing as the Antonio Brown trade. Madden was like, no, fuck that, for the same thing. It's a bad idea.
My favorite is this post on Twitter from @SpringerWave, and they've got a picture of a bunch of clowns sitting on escalators, and the quote is, "The Texans front office looks good here, all clowns."
They did fuck it up. It was Jacob Martin, Barkevius Mingo, that's a name, and a 2020 third-round draft pick, which kind of seems like peanuts for Jadeveon Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney is obviously a fudging beast. I read a bunch about this, and they don't have a general manager for the Texans right now.
Wait, what?
They don't have a general manager for the Texans right now.
So who's making personnel decisions?
I don't even understand who. I think it's a sort of coalition of a couple people until they get somebody.
So one of the reasons why Jadeveon Clowney wanted to get out of Houston is that they hit him with the servitude at a lower rate tag.
This was crazy. So I didn't even know you could do this. He's kind of a flex player, so he's played both at the line and at linebacker. And they franchised him at linebacker, which is a few $1 million lower than what he would have gotten paid if they had franchised him as a lineman.
With that, working at a lower rate tag.
Hi, I'm going to force you to work below market rate franchise tag. But not only that, I'm going to demote you from head of building and maintenance services to janitorial leader.
Executive janitorial leader.
With that, you get a $3 million pay decrease. Same job.
Actually, probably a worse job. I mean, let's be real. I think the Texans are probably better than the Seahawks right now.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good team. I don't think the Seahawks are going to be bad. And the Texans are going to need a new lineman.
Who do they even have behind Jadeveon Clowney to fill in,
A small 6-inch white garden fence that you can just step over.
The one you get from Menards for like $4.99.
Except that would be referring to an offensive line. But I believe on defense they have the 6-inch garden gnomes, which cannot get over a 6-inch white garden fence.
There's actually no height differential there is the problem.
Yep, very hard for them to traverse said landscape. The reason the Texans felt that they needed to go ahead and do this bullshit trade is, and I quote from CBS Sports here, an article from John Breach yet again.
I've noticed there's like two people that write articles. John Breach and the other guy that starts with a P.
Here's a quote from that article. The reason that created tension is because Clowney thought he deserved to be tagged as a defensive end, which would mean a $17.13 million contract in 2029. But the Texans tagged him as a linebacker, which means he's only going to make $15.97 million.
Jadeveon Clowney had all the leverage in the world in this deal, too, because the Texans can't really do anything with him. They can't trade him unless he actually signs the franchise tag, which he didn't. So he couldn't trade him anywhere he didn't want to go. Actually, they really wanted him to go to Miami because I guess they were really looking at that left tackle, Laramie Tunsil. And
that would have been a much closer trade.
Well, they really wanted him, and Jadeveon Clowney said, I don't want to go to Miami. And that's just how it went.
That's how it went. Here's the other line from the John Breach article on CBS Sports. As for the Texans, they are now the poster child for why you should never pull off a trade when you don't have a general manager.
They literally, like, you know that SpongeBob episode where it's like SpongeBob's trying to pay somebody and he's got like a pocket full of a nickel, a shoestring, and a paperclip?
Yes.
That's what the Texans got in exchange for Jadeveon Clowney.
I don't know if it's that lopsided, but it's just like unconscionably bad.
It is bad. And so then the Texans go out and, like I said, they want to get this Laramie Tunsil guy. So they've got him and Kenny Stills for 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, offensive tackle Julian Davenport, and cornerback Johnson Bredmosi. And the Texans also get a 4th-round draft pick, which seems ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
That seems like so much for 2 people. And I guess Tunsil is the 13th overall pick in 2016, which, you know, helps out the Houston line because they allowed 62 sacks last year, which led the NFL. That's not good. And this is even better because Miami's already in turmoil, right? Like, there are already people that are like, hashtag tank for Tua, right? They want the quarterback next year in the draft. And there's a quote here in this article from FoxNews.com. The Miami Herald reported that the team's locker room would, quote, revolt if Tunsil was traded.
And
there's going to be some revolt, I guess.
The Miami locker room, revolting. Classic.
It's revolting. Haha.
Classic dad joke there. Classic. And the kids go wild.
So there's that. Fine.
Yes.
And then, this is just brief in passing because I didn't read the article or anything. Kiko Alonso got traded to the Saints. Dolphins linebacker.
The Dolphins locker room. Revolting.
I'm also looking at this too here. Back to the Jadeveon Clowney thing. A tweet from Greg Rosenthal. It says, Bill O'Brien's first major act as all-powerful Texan czar is trading away the key player from his only playoff victory for peanuts on the dollar because he didn't plan ahead.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. What do you call a team with the guy who's making personnel decisions that's also not the general manager?
This is a good one, too. Tweet from Benjamin Albright. The Texans got fleeced so bad they might want to fire their general manager. Oh.
Sorry about it, Texas. Good fucking luck.
But all of this moving and shaking here is due to the fact that the roster cuts took place yesterday. I think it was yesterday at 3 p.m. they had to be turned in. They had to cut the 90-man roster down to 53, and then you get a 10-player practice squad after all the players clear waivers and things like that. So, and with that, LaShawn McCoy was cut from the Bills and ended up going to the Chiefs.
Were you surprised by that cut?
Yes. So who else did the Bills have, honestly?
That's a fucking good question. BuffaloBills.com. Devin Singletary?
Who?
I'm on.
Is that it? That's all you got?
This is loading too slow. It's not working out. It's not meant to be.
So anyways, there's pretty much no one there in Buffalo. So, I mean, a handful of teams wanted to get on the Shady train, and the Packers weren't mentioned in that. The Patriots were mentioned, as always. They're always mentioned in every, like, high-profile player talk, but Eagles, Chiefs, Patriots, I also mentioned. Were you surprised the Packers weren't tagged as one of the teams that would maybe want to check out Shady?
No, I'm not surprised. I really think we're set at running back. And as good as LaShawn McCoy once was, and maybe I'll be kicking myself after the season's over, I think I take the upside of Aaron Jones all day.
I agree. I just wanted to make sure that you were in agreement with that. Yeah, you're right.
We've already got Jamal Williams for a change of pace. Who's the last guy? It's another Williams.
Dexter Williams.
Yeah, Dexter Williams.
Well, so we'll see what happens with Shady here, because obviously he started his career in Philadelphia with Andy Reid, who is the head coach there. Now Andy Reid is the head coach in Kansas City, so that makes sense. The Chiefs traded away Carlos Hyde earlier to the Texans, which left them with Damian Williams as their starter, and essentially no backups behind him. Their backups behind them, the entire group combined for less than 200 career carries.
Oh, I saw that.
One of their running backs, Tremont Smith, has more career tackles than carries.
Fun fact.
So, I mean, honestly, I don't see LaShawn McCoy. He's 31 years old. I don't see him being like he's not like their guy going forward, right? This is a patch fix to me. And I don't know how good he's going to be.
Look, I think McCoy, the thing about him is he's still so good at doing the basics right. You hand him the ball with open field, he's going to get you some yards. You pass him the ball, he's not going to drop it. So is he going to be a standout star? I think his days of being at that level are done. But if you need somebody to come in, someone who knows the game, someone who's not going to fuck it up when the game's on the line, LaShawn McCoy is that veteran player who can do it for you.
But look at the resurgence that Adrian Peterson had going to Washington. He's about the same age. And he was also a guy who was pretty feared across the league in his prime. And he kind of went into nothingness. And now here he is back again, resurging. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the same thing happens with Shady.
It's definitely possible. According to ourlads.com.
Ourlads.com?
Yes. The depth chart is Frank Gore, TJ Yeldon, and Devin Singletary.
In Kansas City?
No, in Buffalo.
Oh, Frank Gore is another one of those guys. He's been around forever. And he's always been solid forever.
He's super good. Frank Gore, I think, is one of those players who we will see in the Hall of Fame.
I was just thinking that. I'm not sure, man. He's been so solid for so long, but he's never been like, maybe I just haven't been remembering correctly, but I don't know that he's like standout enough to be, but I guess he's been so solid for so long. I could see it. I wouldn't be upset about it by any means. Frank
Gore is 36 years old. He's in the Hall of Fame in my book.
He's been around the league too. He's played like everywhere. Sounds like the Bills are fucked. The Chiefs are doing all right. And
you think they're going to be fucked? I think that, Frank Gore's in there, so they still have a veteran guy.
You can't run him every single down anymore. He's a good, third down back. You can't be expecting him to carry the workload.
Yeah, I agree with that. But look, as I look at that, if they think that this Devin Singletary and this TJ Yeldon have the skill to do the damn thing, and they've got Frank Gore in there as the veteran, I think they're fine. I don't think you got to worry about having LaShawn McCoy at that point.
More running back news. And this one hits home for me because Melvin Gordon is a Wisconsin kid. Go Badgers. Speaking of that, go Badgers, 49-0 win over University of South Florida to open the season.
Oh, I saw that. I was at the restaurant watching that game.
Go Badgers. I mean, it's the Powder Puff game to start the season, so whatever. But according to this another Clutch Points article, the Chargers are not going to give Melvin Gordon what he wants this year. They're going to postpone continuing extension talks until after 2019. Melvin Gordon's only option is to remain on the roster and play his fifth-year option worth $5.6 million. In 2020, he can be a free agent. They're also permitting Gordon to seek a trade, though. He's a two-time Pro Bowler. He wants to get paid in this same range that Zeke's talking about. Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, David Johnson, that $13 to $14 million range. They've offered him about 10, but not enough for him. He held out all of training camp so far. It seems like he's probably not going to play this year. He's going to pull Le'Veon Bell, I think.
But they're not trying. Again, they're not trying to franchise him, from what I understand.
No,
he is going to hold out. I see some similarities there. Look, Melvin Gordon is good. Is he top 3 in the league? Because, you got to remember that the franchise tag is really only fucking over people who are elite.
Well, and Melvin Gordon has been injured a lot. According to this, he's only broken 1,000 yards one time in the past 4 years.
But is Melvin Gordon an elite running back?
I would say he is top 12.
So even if he were to get stuck with a franchise tag, which I don't think that would be fucking him over exactly, the franchise tag for him could be above his market rate.
I tend to agree with that. And Melvin Gordon, though, he grew up right next to us. He's from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Little did I know.
He one time rushed for 408 yards in only 3 quarters of a college game.
I was going to say, that's got to be high school or college.
408 yards on 25 carries during the Big Ten championship game.
That's crazy.
You know who held that record before for the entire game? For the entire game.
Who?
LT. LaDainian Tomlinson. He had 406 yards. Melvin Gordon did it in 3 quarters.
Would they just give him a break after that?
Basically, we beat him like 59 to 20-something. He's so good. He was so good in college.
He is a 2-time Pro Bowler.
I'm obviously biased here because I got to watch him play.
I think he's a good back. I think he will get more than $10 million. I'm not sure if they stepped that all the way up to the new league high, but we'll have to see. We'll keep an eye on him.
Yep.
Good luck, Melvin Gordon. Hope you don't just ride the bench. Hope you get to play.
I hope so, too. Like I said, Wisconsin kid, he got my heart.
Yeah, so I just wanted to cover this really quick because as good as a player as he's been for so many seasons, Ndamukong Suh gets yet another fine for a big preseason hit on Baker Mayfield. Now, I don't want to talk too much about the hit. I want to talk about Ndamukong Suh was fined $21,056 for roughing the passer on a big hit against Baker Mayfield. That brings Ndamukong Suh's career payout for fines to $681,448.
I'm not surprised. Not one bit. He is the dirtiest player in the league and has been for a long time.
I don't know why it got to be like that.
I don't know either, dude. Stomping on people, rough hits. I don't know how he's still in the league, honestly. I don't know how the NFL hasn't deemed his play to be too rough in this league. You know?
It's a good question. I mean, maybe people still are looking for that kind of enforcer, but just surprising to me when I saw that, one, he's playing dirty in the preseason, and two, that career total is huge.
Yeah, I mean, when you said started with 6, I was like, 6 milli?
No, 600.
I thought you were in the million, and I wouldn't have been surprised either, honestly.
$6 million in fines?
I found it.
Found what?
The franchise tag of the many things we referred to it as.
Yes.
The undesired contract extension tag.
The undesired Perfect.
Here's the thing about Ndamukong Suh's fine as well. It was the second quarter. Baker Mayfield probably shouldn't have been in to begin with. Ndamukong Suh probably shouldn't have been in to begin with. But he's been fined 14 times in 10 seasons. He gets fined more than once a year. I hate that guy.
He's a dirty player for sure. I mean, it's just, what are you going to do?
I don't think he even commands that much respect. Like, he was good at one point, but now it's just, I think he only ever gets, like, accolades because, like, he's not even that good of a player anymore. He's just dirty, and that's why he has the success he has.
That's quite a reach, I think, but maybe. I think he's still definitely in the upper half of rush players like that. He's still getting to the quarterback. He's still an effective player.
Fine. I'm looking through our notes here, and I'm seeing, like, a video of Ezekiel Elliott. And one thing that's always driven me crazy about the Cowboys is that their pants don't match the rest of their uniforms.
What are you talking about?
Their pants are like a little bit of a weird greenish off gray. Their helmets are silver. Everything else is silver, white, blue. Their pants are not silver. Their pants are like a weird greenish, grayish, off silver color. It gets me every time. Like, look directly at the helmet. Look at the pants. They're not the same color.
Couldn't this have waited for the gossip section?
No, this is important new news this week.
Okay, fine. Late breaking news. Van does not like the fashion choices of the Dallas Cowboys.
It just doesn't match.
Breaking news.
That's like 6-year-old Van tried to design a football uniform.
This is big breaking news. Very important. Could not wait until the gossip section.
Ran out of crayons in my 16 crayon set because we couldn't afford the 64 crayon version. We had the Rose Art crayons, not the Crayola. We had the Rose Art crayons.
Rose Art crayons are good.
Come on.
I mean, they're better than some of the other options.
What are the other options besides Crayola and Rose Art?
They are the unnamed store brand stuff that you can get.
Those don't exist.
They don't exist. Yes, they do.
Fine.
Not in your pampered world.
Fine.
And I'm cheesing my way back to you, Van, with a burning cheese inside. It's a Packers section.
Davante Adams brought OchoCinco to tears.
I don't know if absurd is the right word, but Davante Adams literally sends Chad OchoCinco some practice footage of his release packages and ability to get open. Moves OchoCinco to tears.
Tears. Crying.
He getting all in his feelings. It's like one of those things where you see something so beautiful that you're moved to tears. That's how I interpret this. He's just like, this is the pinnacle. This is the ultimate in wide receiver release package beauty.
It's not like he even starts crying during the video, that like his response. He's already got tears on his face when it starts. He's been crying for a while.
Maybe that wasn't his first watch.
OchoCinco is good. So if OchoCinco is brought to tears by Davante Adams route running, does that solidify the fact that Davante Adams is like the top receiver in the league? Also, OchoCinco, he puts it on his mom and on his kids. He says, on my mom's, on my kids.
I'm going to say in regards to Davante Adams' performance, he's been touting his release packages all offseason on Twitter. I've been following him, and I've got to say, off the line, I don't know if there's anyone better. It really is incredible to watch him. His release packages, he's got these different step count release packages off the line. Davante Adams is doing something special there, and it's kind of a nuanced thing. But when you watch and compare a couple to other players, even some of the other elite players in the league, his ability to create distance right off the jump is unmatched. For wide receivers doing it right now, it is unmatched. Is he the very best in the league? That's a big question.
Who else?
There's all the big names that are still out there. I mean, we've still got, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Michael Thomas.
The only one I would say would be in consideration would be DeAndre Hopkins.
Odell Beckham. I don't mean to, but I accidentally shit on DeAndre Hopkins all the time, and he's arguably really number one in the whole fucking league.
If I'm going to put anybody over Davante Adams, it's DeAndre Hopkins.
Michael Thomas is the other one that I would think of. That dude is also a freak of nature. Julio Jones is just, I like watching him play football.
Why?
He's just so good. He just makes the other people around him look like children, like he's a giant man playing with them.
He always managed that Mohamed Sanu could do whatever he wanted because everybody was always looking at Julio Jones.
He really did. I mean, you cannot overplay Julio Jones. That man can get open. He's such a physical player, and he's so good. Anyway, Davante Adams, incredible talent. Definitely
Tears. Tear-worthy.
Tear-worthy. I'm telling you, if you've not seen him, go to Twitter, go to other social media, check him out. You will be impressed.
Rodgers has shared his retirement plans.
Oh, word? Is he going to travel from Holiday Inn to Holiday Inn once he reaches 60 and just enjoy all of the finest Holiday Inns across this land?
No. Are we going to do Holiday Inn now? Is it going to be Holiday Inn and Denny's? Are those our two sponsors?
Don't let the Washington Post fact-checked our sponsor list.
He says, yeah, win the Super Bowl when I'm 45 and then ride off into the sunset.
What vehicle does Aaron Rodgers ride off into the sunset? When he's wearing his big mustache, no beard, and those aviator glasses that he likes to wear all the time.
The vehicle is a horse.
Oh my gosh.
When I read this, when it said ride off into the sunset, I immediately went back to like Aaron Rodgers with his big mustache and his Canadian tuxedo, just riding off into the sunset.
That's some John Wick shit.
John
Wick
Wayne?
3. John Wick 3.
John Wick doesn't... Oh, I didn't see John Wick 3 yet.
John Wick 3.
Don't spoil it. I didn't see it yet.
Okie dokie. Check it out.
Anyways, Roger says, I envision playing as long as my body feels good, and I have love for the game that I do right now, and still fuels me and is still a passion. And I still love the daily grind and the practice and preparation. If I can give everything to a team in that manner and my body feels good, I'm going to keep rolling.
I'm impressed at how dedicated Rodgers is to the game, to our city, to our team. But can I tell you what was a surprising topic in here? And it's obviously because of Andrew Luck that this whole topic is even on the table. But can I tell you what I thought was very surprising?
Yes, go ahead.
There's some paragraphs in here that dive into, well, maybe football players who have interests outside of football, that should be a red flag because they might just go pursue those other interests and stop playing football. Did you see that in here?
I did, and I thought it was ridiculous.
I don't know anyone whose only interest is like one thing only ever, forever.
Roger says, I think the beauty in this game is meeting teammates who have interests outside of football. You meet guys who are incredible musicians or really interested in travel or charitable work or whatnot. I think having interests is what allows you to have that balance off the field, which I think makes your on the field or at the stadium or in the facility work that much more important. I think you can't have enough of those type of guys who are well-rounded people and have a creativity and a curiosity about more than just ball, because I think those guys get burnt out and those guys are not as relatable. When you're talking about leaders, you need to find guys who can be relatable in the locker room. I think people who only ever talk about football are going to have a hard time relating to every person or multiple people in the locker room, because guys have interest and you have to find ways to relate to them in the locker room to get them to buy into what you're trying to do.
It's like fucking duh. Who's and like who's in there like, ooh, this guy has interest in origami. I will not be hiring him.
Fucking personnel department busts into his house, takes all of his paper away. No.
Oh, this guy I heard likes to cook to relax. Everybody got to eat, dog. He just likes to cook.
I get being tuned into like your work and your job and stuff. I get that, but like you also are a human being that needs to have life. I mean, I feel like as human beings, you cannot just be wired on one thing and be sane or successful. From a coaching perspective or whatever, of like you want your guys to be tuned into their craft and be paying attention to it and not have like distractions, but I say like on the field.
Exactly. It seems obvious to me that there are so many interests that a human could have, including those people who chose football as their profession.
Yep, it's ridiculous.
Fucking duh.
As we mentioned earlier in the show, it was cut down weekend this weekend. And I will say, looking at the Packers cuts, I'm surprised by 0 of them. And I will say that, and I texted you about it right away, and you said, damn, you were right. You know who's not on the roster?
Who, Van?
Deshaun Kaiser. Finally gone.
But don't they know he's going to be a future Super Bowl MVP?
Look at this. Tim Boyle had the highest passer rating in the NFL preseason out of any quarterback with a minimum 40 attempts. He's leading by like 10 points. He's like 112 or 113 passer rating.
Super solid. I was surprised that we decided to go only with 3 running backs. And I don't know if that's normal or whatever, you know, if you normally just pick somebody out of free agency if you have more trouble. But I thought we were going to hang on to Trey Carson.
I think Matt LaFleur is going to stray away from the running back by committee approach. I think Aaron Jones is the guy. And I think Jamal Williams and Dexter Williams are both going to be supporting cast. Given
the talent that Aaron Jones has, I think that's true. But I hope we're not talking more than like 15 carries.
A game?
A game. Yeah, I think that's right.
If we're going to be a balanced team and like, let's say...
I'm not talking 15 total carries for the team. I'm talking 15 total carries for Aaron Jones.
That's what I'm saying. If we're going to be a balanced team and have, let's say, 40 pass plays, 40 running plays, you can't tell me only 15 of those are going to be Aaron Jones. I expect him to do at least 20, 25 carries a game.
All right, if he hit 20, I'm still fine. If we're hitting 25 carries for Aaron Jones every week, look, I just want Aaron Jones to be around for a while.
Yeah, me too.
We'll see. I was surprised to see Trey Carson go. That was the one surprise for me on this list.
Well, he got signed back to the practice squad, so.
He did. Yeah, he did.
So looking at this, though, 6 wide receivers, the ones that were released, I wasn't upset about any of them. We did bring Alan Lazard. We cut him. We brought him back on the practice squad. So, and EQ is still on injured reserve for that. 4 tight ends sounds about right for the new system here.
Interesting point. This is the 2nd straight year and the 7th time out of the last 10 that we've had 4 tight ends on the roster. Do you think that's from special teams needs? I feel like tight ends are a great special team.
Yes, but you also look at a guy like Jimmy Graham. He can split out wide. He's kind of a hybrid tight end receiver type. I mean, personally, I like a lot of 2 tight end sets, even 3 tight end sets.
I hope they put Mercedes Lewis running more routes. I think the problem is that Jimmy Graham is so much better at breaking out wide and so much worse at blocking that when they really need blocking, they put Mercedes Lewis in. I think the difference between running routes and catching between Jimmy Graham and Mercedes Lewis is small, especially by comparison between the difference between how much better Mercedes Lewis is at blocking than Jimmy Graham.
I think the only roster move here I was surprised by was trading Reggie Gilbert. And we traded him for a 7th round pick. That's nothing.
I mean, if you're going to cut him, though, better to get something than just let somebody pick him off waivers.
So all 10 of the practice squad guys, too, also were with us during the preseason. So we didn't bring anybody new in. Initial roster has 25 offensive players, 25 defensive players, 3 specialists. We have another undrafted rookie, Darius Shepard, made the roster. That's at least one undrafted rookie every year since '05. All told, 16 former college free agents are on the roster, so that's neat. That sounds good to me.
That sounds like what happened.
The last thing I want to mention here in the Packers section, we have a number change.
Woo, woo, woo! Number change alert.
Darnell Savage has changed his number from 26 to 21.
What the fuck?
21 Savage.
21 Savage.
I mean, he said, I just wasn't feeling 26. 21 seems better. And I was looking at the comments on Facebook, and all the clueless old people were like, yeah, that's a big number to live up to. Charles Woodson. Ha ha, ha ha. And yeah, Charles Woodson is a big number to live up to. I get it. But, they didn't catch the glaring in-your-face 21 Savage.
Look, it took me a second. It really did.
You mean you're on that old man status?
I am not. I have quoted 21 Savage every week for the last
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, it's time for the gossip section.
You had a good amount to talk about this first one here.
I do. So, the kids are finally back at Cal, and they done busted down the doors and gone into the locker room.
You mean the Aaron Rodgers locker room for kids who want to learn how to get dressed and learn how to do other things good too?
No, it's the Aaron Rodgers locker room for people who want to get dressed for football and look good when they get dressed for other things too.
Oh, that's right. My mistake.
Yeah, they busted and they are fucking jacked. They're all hugging and jumping around, and every single one's got their cell phone videotaping. They are loving it.
And the funny thing is that as you're looking through this video, they just keep flashing fire emoji, smiley face emoji, fire emoji,
sunglasses, smiley man emoji.
Ooh, there's a snowflake emoji, a hands praying emoji.
They are loving it.
It's not as ridiculous as LSU's Starship Enterprise, but it's a very nice locker room.
As excited and cool as all of this is, the one thing that caught me off guard is all of these people who are not Packers thanking Aaron Rodgers. However, I did appreciate all of the football players dancing around the locker room, just literally bursting into dance.
All that being said, the Cal Golden Bears are very happy.
As they should be. It is a beautiful new locker room.
So Cal football put out a post saying, "Welcome to the Aaron Rodgers locker room." Fire emoji, #earn it. Are they actually calling it the Aaron Rodgers locker room?
Yes, we covered this already. Yes.
No, but for real though.
I was for real then. It's for real now. He donated millions of dollars for that thing. He's, I would say, by far the most famous football alum also.
I really would have liked to see the previous Cal locker room.
I'm sure it's somewhere out there on the internet, but I gotta say, it did feel a lot like Christmas morning. They just bust in. They're like, oh my god, this is what I always wanted.
A Nintendo 64, thanks, Mom!
That's exactly right.
A new worm light for my Game Boy Color, thanks! Next article here we have.
But the New York Post, Steve Serby, posted an article yesterday about what will it take for Carli Lloyd to kick in the NFL. And he conducts a long-form interview with her. But question number 1, why do you believe you can kick in the NFL? And what does she say? I've spent 15 years breaking down my technique on the soccer field, and there is no reason why I can't get the technique down with a 2-step field goal. I love challenges, and this would be a big challenge for me.
Okay, Miss Cocky and Arrogant. Jeez Louise.
Another question, why is it intriguing to you? Answer, it is a challenge, and I love challenges. Plus, no female has ever played in the NFL. That is true. Third question, how dangerous would it be for you if one of your kicks was blocked? Keenan Allen of the Chargers says you'd be stampeded. Your reaction? Her answer is, I am not naive to know there are big men in football, and there is the chance of possibly getting tackled or hit.
It's not a chance. It's a guarantee. Here's what I think. I think as a physically small human being, the chance for injury is greatly increased Because kickers are, I mean, unless she's going to be like a field goal specialist, kind of like how Vinatieri is now. If she's going to be a field goal specialist, that's different. But I saw her try to kick a 51-yard field goal at the Eagles training camp, and it was like a 5-step run-up, dude. It was like a kickoff. You can't be doing that in the NFL. She's going to have to tackle people. She's going to get blocked.
So I just looked it up. Carli Lloyd is 5'7", 141 pounds.
That's very twiggly.
It's actually bigger than I thought she was.
Yeah, she's taller than I thought she was too. But I'm just, as a physically small human being, I think it's going to be difficult for her to make a roster because every one of these 53 spots are valuable. And I don't understand how like the Patriots do keep 2 kickers. And I don't understand how you can waste a roster spot on 2 kickers.
I just looked it up just because I was curious. Mason Crosby is 6'1", 207 pounds.
And he does not look like a big guy on the field. He looks pretty small on the field.
He really does. I mean, it's part of it is because kickers have such light padding to begin with.
But, like, you got to get in there and throw a hit down. Like, Mason Crosby has made his share of tackles.
He really has. Yeah, he has.
I can't imagine any NFL team is going to be willing to take a risk on having a liability at a certain position.
I don't know. I think that the Chicago Bears might take a fucking shot at it.
Oh, my God. Did you see that preseason kick? Not even fucking close.
I'm just saying 5'7", 140 pounds, looking at it objectively, that's a small player.
You know our punter, J.K. Scott, the really small, twiggly guy that looks like he's about 12 years old?
Yes.
6'6", 207.
Same weight as Mason Crosby, a little bit taller.
He's still got more than 60 pounds on her.
Look, if you're a team like the Bears, that situation at kicker is looking grim. And I'm intrigued. I think I'd like to see this happen. Even though he was big as fuck, you know who never got any tackles that I ever remember?
Who's that?
Sebastian Janikowski.
Really?
His big, slow ass could not catch anybody.
You know who got a ton of tackles and was a big ass dude?
Who?
Pat McAfee, punter.
Oh, yeah, that's probably true.
He laid the fucking smackdown, dude.
Could Carli Lloyd get trucked by somebody? Absolutely. But I think she is fast and could get in the way and probably get a couple tackles. I mean, there are ways for small people to tackle big people. Happens all the time.
It also happens all the time that these routine plays end up in injuries. And being a physically smaller human being, that's all I'm saying. A physically small human being has some liability being on a football field.
It's true. Look, it's true. If she's going to do it, she's got to accept all of the risks of it. Because, what I don't want to have happen is her to go out there and be successful, but then get hurt or injured, and then there'd be some kind of unfair
backlash.
Yeah, some unfair backlash or outcry about the whole situation.
Physically small people are a liability in the NFL. That's all I'm saying.
I think that if you have an exceptionally gifted player, regardless of anything else, I mean, we're talking 2-time Olympic athlete, World Cup champion multiple times.
At soccer, not at football.
An unbelievable, nearly unmatched athlete.
At soccer, not at football.
Look, football is not a game of just one skill. There are many types of skills you need in it. And she just happens to have some of the attributes that could be incredibly useful for kicking field goals.
Yeah, she got a leg.
To me, I think that's the primary concern when you're picking a kicker. Nobody's hiring a kicker based on their tackling ability.
But it is important to consider because that's the last line.
It is the last line, but that's exactly why it's not that important. It's your very last line. You have 10 other players, big, strong, built for the position of tackling, that should be able to do it.
I keep coming back to the fact that a small person will get injured. Like, if it was the 50s, 60s, when players were all around smaller, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. She's about closer to the average size of a player in the league. But an average player in the league is like upwards of 250, probably. Like, at least, if I had to guess off the top of my head, average player in the league is 250 and like 6'3".
You have literally no idea.
I said off the top of my head. Either way, the average player in the league has a substantial amount of weight on her.
Let me just put a bow on this with one more Q&A from this article. Question: what would you like your legacy to be? I want to be remembered for what I did on the field and for the way I handled adversity throughout my career. I want people to see that anything is possible through sacrifice, hard work, and dedication. You ultimately decide what path you take in life. I want people to see how I never gave up no matter what was thrown my way. Carli Lloyd is a beast, Van.
At soccer, absolutely.
Maybe nothing comes of it, but we'll see.
I don't want people getting unnecessarily hurt to push a point.
Look, it's true. It doesn't have to be like when Michelle Wie played in the U.S. Open to say, like, I can beat all the men at men's golf. And then she got destroyed, and it basically tore her career apart because she had all that pressure for going in there, and then she did bad.
That's what I don't want to see here. I don't want to see someone get hurt. That's the bottom line.
49ers bring in a British bulldog named Zoe as an emotional support animal.
Thanks to coworker Dan for this article.
And you just see people rolling around with the pup, having the time of their lives.
Dude, I'm all about it. Honestly, like, animals and pets in general are very therapeutic. Scientifically proven. I don't have any sources. But, no, for real, though, like, pets are calming. They are relaxing. Like, pets have huge mental benefits.
And they're adorable.
John Lynch is the 49ers general manager. He said he's all in on Zoe here. He says, every time I went by, there were more and more players in there, and that's a good thing. He says, I mean, football is so all in. To have a place for them to go and kind of unplug, that was a good thing. So I think I finally told our owner after a month, I said, hey, we kind of have this dog now, and the guys really like it.
You know what?
So Zoe's registered as an emotional support dog, and they're looking into getting her certified as a therapy dog, too.
I just love seeing these huge men, insanely large muscles wrapped around this tiny dog, the recipient of tremendous amounts of affection.
It's awesome. And, you know, with the NFL's focus on mental health here, and as we were talking about interests outside of football, you can't be 100% football all day, every day. I think this is a good thing.
I agree. It's tight. It's very good.
We have a cheesy podcast, Animal.
Where's it going to live?
It's just got a split time.
You got to talk to the boss.
Fine. For the interesting take section this week, I stumbled across an article here from thesportsdrop.com.
Brian Zarpentine.
It's a good last name. He's talking about the 9 players drafted before Patrick Mahomes in the 2017 NFL Draft. And just to summarize here, you've got Myles Garrett, went to the Browns. Mitch Trubisky went to the Bears.
Right.
Solomon Thomas, 49ers. Leonard Fournette to the Jags.
Right.
Corey Davis to the Titans. Jamal Adams to the Jets. Mike Williams to the Chargers. Christian McCaffrey to the Panthers. John Ross to the Bengals.
There's obviously some big names on here. Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette.
Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett went number 1, and that dude really is a beast. 6'5", 270.
His rookie year, 13.5 sacks, Pro Bowl nomination, second team All-Pro.
When he was being drafted, you know who they compared him to? Already came up in this podcast this week.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney. He's just good. Luckily, the Browns were able to pick up Baker Mayfield in the following year. I think the Browns did okay.
That's all right. You know, they're doing fine.
Yeah. Mitch Trubisky, I think that's a fart. Chicago Bears are probably kicking their own asses now. But, to be fair, Trubisky was a Pro Bowl alternate.
Okay, that's because everybody else bowed out. That doesn't count.
Pro Bowl alternate. Do you get a certificate for that?
The NFL prints you something in MS Word, and then, you know, they go ahead and they laminate it and they hand it to you at halftime.
Here you go.
Sorry, Drew Brees.
Pro Bowl alternate. Wow. Solomon Thomas over at the San Francisco 49ers.
Who?
Yeah, I mean, the quote from this article is, Thomas has largely been forgotten about by most NFL fans outside of Northern California.
It also says, he's such a disappointment that the 49ers didn't hesitate to draft another defensive end second overall with Nick Bosa in 2019. They also traded for Dee Ford, likely making Thomas a backup just 2 years after going third overall.
Yep. Number 4, Leonard Fournette. He's already got seasons with over 1,000 yards. He's got the touchdowns. But he did get hurt, which is obviously not his fault. But I think he's a player that would have had a Pro Bowl selection had he not gotten hurt. And we'll see. We'll see. I know that the Jacksonville Jaguars wish they had Patrick Mahomes over Blake Bortles' sorry ass.
Blake Bortles. That dude is sorry.
Leonard Fournette, I do not think is a bust other than he's been injured. So we'll see if he can make the rebound.
Next, 5th overall, Corey Davis, wide receiver, went to the Titans. This article says, like most wide receivers, he had his struggles as a rookie, failing to find the end zone for the first time until the playoffs. In his second season, though, he caught 65 balls for 891 yards and 4 touchdowns, which is better, but I don't think that's worth passing up over Patrick Mahomes. Now, they do have Marcus Mariota, so that's not necessarily something you would,
Yeah, you wouldn't gamble on a rookie to replace Marcus Mariota, I don't think. He's had injuries, too. I think that they did okay.
Sure. Next one was Jamal Adams, went to the Jets. He was a safety. And this is another one that has me going, who? But that could just be because he plays for the Jets.
I mean, he has been named to the Pro Bowl and being a second-team All-Pro honoree. He was also defensive MVP of the Pro Bowl.
That doesn't matter. It's the Pro Bowl, dude. It's a joke. We've talked about this, how the Pro Bowl is the biggest joke of any of the All-Star games in any of the major sports conferences.
But I do like this quote. Adams isn't the best safety in the NFL yet. Based on what I've read about him, I think there's still upside, and I think he may do it. But it's as you said, he's an AFC team, and
plays for the Jets.
And he plays for the Jets, so it's like, I don't know, I guess.
But article also mentioned, if Sam Darnold over there works out, fine. But if he fails, then, well, could have had Mahomes.
Yeah, a bunch of people in New York and New Jersey are going to be saying, could have had Mahomes.
Another wide receiver went 7th overall. Mike Williams went to the Los Angeles Chargers. So again, who? Injury-prone rookie season with a herniated disc. He played 10 games, caught 11 passes his first year. 2018, played all 16 games, had 10 touchdowns, but only 43 catches.
Exactly what they say here is right. He had some injuries, so he's really coming in to what's more like his second season than his third. The third season is usually when you expect your rookie to shine. We'll see if that's the case for him.
Next, and this is the biggest one that I say, okay, this is a good pick over Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey to the Panthers.
Despite all the chatter around Cam Newton, you can't pick up a rookie over Cam Newton. I just don't think you can.
No. Plus, dude, Christian McCaffrey is good. And I don't know how he got snubbed for the Pro Bowl.
A glaring snub.
Because he made the second All-Pro team. He also rushed over 1,000 yards and caught over 100 passes for over 800 yards, averaging 20 touches a game and almost 2,000 all-purpose yards last year. Also, in this picture they have of him in the article from whatever training camp picture, his hair looks incredibly nice for doing a really intense workout.
Yeah.
He's got his hair all parted nice and stuff. Look at that. So dreamy. So dreamy. But I think that's definitely a player that you definitely pick up over Patrick Mahomes. And the 9th pick of that draft, the pick ahead of Patrick Mahomes, John Ross went to the Bengals. And no, this is not Bob Ross who paints trees.
Nope.
This is another who for me.
I think this is a perfect sentence to sum that up. The word oops is probably the most appropriate for the Bengals when it comes to Ross.
Fumbled the ball in his first ever NFL touch.
It was a rushing play also.
So after that, he was either benched or injured or a healthy scratch the rest of the season. Didn't catch a single pass. 2018 started 10 games, caught 21 passes and 7 touchdowns. But when you've got Andy Dalton throwing him the ball, that's not really necessarily a fair comparison. But then you look at it, Andy Dalton or Patrick Mahomes, it's an obvious choice there.
Yeah. Again, this is another player that I feel like they didn't make enough investment in him early on, and we'll see where he lands. I mean, it says he was 6th on the depth chart going into his rookie season. It just sounds like he had a lot of growing to do, which is surprising for someone that you pick up in the first round, top 10 like that.
And I think this whole article definitely speaks to how much of a crapshoot the draft can be. You just don't ever know. you have personnel departments that their entire job is to try and scout and find the best guy and everything else, but ultimately you never really know. You just don't know.
You never can know, but what you definitely know is that Patrick Mahomes, he is, at least he's shown to be so far, the real deal. Over 5,000 yards, over 50 touchdowns. Unbelievable.
We'll see what happens this year once people figure him out.
Over 50 touchdowns. It doesn't matter what happens this year.
It absolutely matters what happens this year.
It does for his legacy, but there is nothing in my mind that takes away from the fact that he threw 50 touchdowns.
Yeah, people have great one seasons all the time.
Like who? Name one quarterback who's had one 50 touchdown season.
I'm not saying specifically stats here. I'm saying players have a great season, and then they get figured out, and then they aren't as good anymore.
This is not a great season. This is a once-in-a-decade season.
Oh, gosh. Blah,
50
blah, blah,
touchdowns, man? 50 touchdowns? This is not great.
Listen,
no,
I'm going to buy you.
No,
I'm gonna buy you.
No. Go back and look up some stats here. 50 touchdowns? That's like once or twice a decade. This is not like, oh, he had a good season, it's okay, pretty good. 50 touchdowns. 50 touchdowns. 350 points.
I found a Chiefs cheerleader uniform for $50 on Amazon Prime. We can have it tomorrow for you.
That sounds great. You know how many points that averages per game? Just shy of 22 points.
It's $1 for every touchdown he got.
21.875 points per game.
It's actually called the Big Girls Women Cheerleader Costume. It's right here on Amazon. $1 for every touchdown. It's Prime, too. I can have it to you tomorrow.
You fucking...
Because that's what you are. You're a fucking Patrick Mahomes cheerleader. Every time the word Mahomes comes up, you go, huh? What? What? You get yourself all excited about Patrick Mahomes every time. I'm going to get you a damn cheerleader uniform. You can wear it every time Patrick Mahomes comes around.
Fine, but I think there's a lot of people who are in that top 10 draft class that would have happily taken Patrick Mahomes had they known what they were missing.
I don't disagree with that.
That's it. Oh, one other thing. That I didn't mention, but he did win league MVP. A few other people thought he had an incredible, maybe once in a decade season.
I'm going to buy it for you. I'm going to send it to you. You'll have yourself a nice little cheerleader uniform here. You'll be fine.
Great. Send it on over. I'll wear it for the next episode. And with that, you've been listening to Gettin Cheezy with Van and Jeezy.
I'm Van.
And I'm Jeezy.
Check us out on Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Play Music, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, cheesypodcast.com, or call text 980-2-CHEESY with a Z. That's 980-224-3399. Anywhere, anytime. We'll talk about it.
And we're always happy to hear from you. We're like your mom or grandma or other family member who deeply loves you. Just give us a call anytime, and we'll be there.
And we won't even make you feel bad about not calling as much.
That's right.
We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, everybody.